Hello and welcome to another episode of Three Rail Steve. And in today's episode, we will be building some furniture to actually put my railway on top of. What you're looking at now is a piece that I've already made, which I've made to look like a pair of railway arches. And I will kind of go through the process of how this one's made, but we're going to make another one. So I need three altogether to actually be able to support my railway across my desk and into the side of my studio. So there it is. So I'm going to use Inkscape to actually design it, and this is a rather fantastic program. You can do all sorts of things with it. I won't go into the details of how I do it because there are many excellent videos on YouTube on how to do it, but basically you construct it using shapes, squares and outlines, and as you can see I've already made the shape of the bridge. And so you find out what the dimensions that you actually of the actual size of the bridge you want, and you can actually feed those into the program and make the bridge the correct height and the correct width, etc. It's a 2D program, it's not a 3D one, but it's adequate for what we're actually using it for. So I get all the basic shapes from a photograph of the bridge that I'm modelling. So you should be able to see I'll just enlarge this photograph, and then you kind of try and take the proportions from the photograph to build up the shape of the bridge. And then once you've got the actual shape of the bridge, you can then enlarge it to the actual size that you want it to be on your desk. So by maintaining, you can press an actual lock on the screen so it maintains the shape of it, and selecting all the objects you can just make it bigger. I'm just showing you how you basically piece it all together. So you use a box with an outline, you can set the thickness of the outline, and then you can just add bits to it, other shapes to it, and you can just gradually build up the shape of the bridge. And that's how it's kind of constructed. So once we're happy with the drawing on the computer, we can then go ahead and print it off. Obviously, we're going to be printing it off in several pieces because my printer only prints onto a sheet of A4 paper. But you can shift the shape on the actual screen over the A4 paper, and you end up with several bits of paper, and then it's a question of, well, as you can see, basically cutting them out, joining them up together, and then sticking them to the 2mm card that I'm going to use to construct the front of this bridge. So it's just a lot of cutting and pasting really. So I'll just get the shape chopped out. Now, if you're using I'm using a Stanley knife, and it's quite sort of, it's not thickish paper, but the trick is to use lots of light runs across with your knife, not press too hard, otherwise you just end up tearing the paper. So 3 or 4 little runs with the knife and it will just come apart nice and easily. The same when you're cutting the card as well. So I'm just using a Pritt stick, and I'm just setting it up on this very large piece of card that I have, and I just gradually fit all the bits together. And yeah, as you can see in this, sped it up a little bit. So gradually build up the shape, and you should end up with a piece of card with the shape on it. And then it's a question, once you've done that and you're happy with it, so I'm still in the process of doing this, then you cut the shape out using your Stanley knife and very sharp, a very straight metal ruler on a cutting foam, or whatever they call it. It's just a sort of green base, and most people use it. So you can see it's all coming together. So just get that last piece in place. There. Oops, just got it in there. And then it's time to actually start cutting out the shape of the bridge. I'm just going to check that the height is correct against my other bridge, because obviously I want them all to be the same height, because it's important that it sits nice and flat on top. So once I'm happy with that, I'll carry on and cut the rest of it up. And the other great thing you can do with Inkscape is you can download photographs of brick walls or stone walls, and then you can, by multiplying them and being a bit clever with the Inkscape program, you can make them into sort of like basically what is brick paper. So again, you print it off on your just normal home printer, and then you have something to actually coat or clad your model with. So yeah, we're just going to get all these bits chopped out. Now I thought initially I would just put some shelving up and have the model, you know, the actual my modules, because I can fit 2 modules across the wall. Obviously my layout was going to be a lot more than 2 modules, but if I just want 2 modules up in my studio so I can sort of test them, then that's quite handy. It's a bit of a laborious process, but just gradually cut the shapes out. So I've got all the shapes now, and then there's a question of either screwing or gluing them all together to make the shape. So what I'm putting some battens on, so that when I glue the shapes together, it's got a bit of sort of inner strength, and it also keeps everything like 90 degrees to each other. So I'm just clamping it all up together. I find that the best way of doing it is to glue it and really clamp it. This is the lid of it, so I'm going to make sure that it actually will fit correctly. So yeah, so I'm just popping some clamps on, hold it all together. And it's just a case of being a bit patient and just gradually building it all up piece by piece. So yeah, it's got the clamp in there. I'm going to clamp it on the other side as well. And then we're just going to check, once I've got rid of all the excess glue, that I've left the actual gap that I'm leaving for the lid to fit on is the correct spacing. So I'm just going to pop that in, just make sure it all lines up, which it seems to quite nicely. So yeah, so that's all good. So yeah, so here I'm going to see a bit more of it now, the back of it. So just clamping a few bits more up, some more battens on it, So it should all piece together really nice and easily. And you should end up with a shape that looks vaguely like a bridge. So yeah, there we go. So I've obviously missed a bit of film in there, but that's what you end up with. You end up with the bridge shape. And then it's a case of actually sticking the front, a bit of cardboard that we printed off at the beginnings and glued all the, sorry, we cut off in the beginning and then we glued all the printed bits onto it. So now I know it's the correct shape. I know what I need to do to make it look good. So the next step actually is to cut out all the extra bits, the bits that kind of stick out of the bridge. So you can see a piece I put on there. I'm just building up the shape. So I'm just using bits of chipboard to build up the shape, to make all these buttresses and things that are going on. And then I printed off all the brick paper, and then take it all apart and actually just stick the brick paper to all the various parts. It's kind of like a kit. So gradually stick it all together. To begin with, it doesn't look that amazing because you've got the paper's a little bit. I've not done a brilliant job of sticking it on, to be fair, but it looks okay. By the time you finish it, it will look fine. So we've got the buttresses in place, and you've obviously got a little bit more to do. So that's that done, and I'm going to have to obviously do something to disguise those little gaps that we've got, but we'll probably have to do that with some paint, I think, a bit later on in the process, but you can see the sort of general idea of it. So the next bit is to actually construct the girder part of the bridge. So what I'm using, I've got some sort of insulation foam. I'm just slicing it into little pieces and actually gluing it onto the front of the card where it's already printed. I've got a guide, you know, roughly of where all those, the positions of all those part of the girder to make it look a bit more three-dimensional. So I'll just show you what I'm doing. So I'm measuring it so the gap's all even. So I'm just cutting a piece up now. I'm just going to try it. So I'm just going to measure it first of all, and then once I've got worked out where the middle of that between those two pieces are, just going to pop some PVA glue on there. So just finish doing that a second. So just pop that in, and then I'm just going to pop a bit of this insulation, and hopefully, because I'm not going to handle it that much, it should be strong enough to be able to, you know, it's not going to break. So just get that in there. So we end up with something that looks reasonably three-dimensional. You can see I put brick paper above it as well, so it mirrors the photograph that we have of this bridge. So I'm just going to pop a bit more on the side. Yeah, so that's pretty much, that bit is pretty much finished. So we should be, so the next things we need to do, we need to, well, obviously need to paint it. We need to actually fill in the gaps between the back and the front of the bridge, going inside the bridge. Maybe not so much the bit underneath the girders, but certainly the bits on the side. There would be brickwork there, so that is kind of the next thing to actually do. So just have a little look at. Oh yeah, we've also put need to put a lid on it as well. So we'll put some more of that nice green underfloor foam on the top, so that the railway sits on something that's nice and insulated. It's not going to make tons of noise when the trains clatter over the top of it. So as you can see, I've done that. I've got some things weighing it down, and now I'm just going to paint in these girders. So I'm just start off. I'm just going to do a little look at the photographs. I'm just going to paint them black to begin with. So I have sped this up a bit, but it still takes quite a long time, even though I've sped it up 4 times. So it's just having a little, just get all that painted in black. So I'm just going to let the film run a minute, so see what I'm doing. So use a combination of colours really. So start with the black, And then we've got some, use a bit of grey, so just a bit of white mixed in with it. And just sort of produce a sort of, not only highlights, but sort of weathering effect. So it's not all one colour. So just moving those weights on the top because the foam wasn't sticking down very well. So just get all the paint on first of all. That's the most important thing. Get it all actually painted at one colour. And then when it's still slightly wet, of course it's acrylic paint, so it dries quite fast anyway. So we're just gonna finish that bit off there. Let's get into those niggly little corners. That's it. So already it looks quite good, but we need to make it look a bit nicer than that. So we're just going to mix up some grey. Just going to put some, just get it to look a bit more like it's been out in the world and weathered. Things are never just one colour. Things always have a variation. And I'm trying to keep this quite simple, so I'm just using, really mixing white with a bit of black. And then I'll probably put some brown on it to give it a slightly warmer, rustier kind of feel. Although that's not in the photograph, but it's subtle, so you won't really see it's there, but it's there, and it just makes it look a bit less boring. So just getting into those corners again. It's a bit hard to see what I'm actually painting on here because of the angle, but I have, like I said, I'm just going to actually touch in some of the bricks as well. If you look on the photograph, above the girder, the first 4 layers of bricks are all quite black. So just going to emulate that a little bit, maybe not go too mad, but I'm just going to pop painting these bricks a bit individually. It's a bit tedious, but it does make it look rather nice. So and kind of breaks up the the uniformity of the brick paper that I've made. So I'm just going to pop those in. Just let if you just want to. So using quite a small paintbrush for that. Doesn't have to be utterly perfect, but it's got to be reasonably accurate, and also quite try and make it look a bit random as well, so it looks kind of more natural. So we're just going along that first line, and then we'll just pick out some more bricks just on the bottom line as well. So yeah, there we go. You can see it's already taking shape. It's already starting to give it a more kind of natural look. It's starting to look like brick paper, and it's actually starting to look like bricks, which is what I kind of want. And this is all useful practice. I haven't done scenery on a model railway for a very long time, and I guess I'm here. This is probably about O gauge or gauge 1. It's a lot bigger than the actual railway that I'll be working on. It's going to be sitting on top of it. But I just thought it'd be nice to have something, a piece of, I could have just had a shelf, but something that looks like a piece of railway architecture supporting it. Now I'm just going down the side of it as well. I'm just blackening up some bricks. And remember I said about the shape, the different shapes that I fitted, the buttresses and things, and you can kind of see where the gap is. Well, I'm not going to fill the gap with filler or anything like that, but what I will do at some point in this process is I will actually paint some shadows. I'm just doing it now actually. I'm just going to paint some shadows into those parts, and because it's black and the actual gap is black, then it will kind of disguise the fact that there is a flipping big gap going down there, and also make it look a lot more three-dimensional. I don't think I filmed the bit where I actually fitted the card inside the bridge. It looks like it's already bricked up, but that's just a question of measuring the space underneath the bridge, cutting out a piece of card to shape, and then just sticking some brick paper on it, and also bringing it round the corner so there's no discernible gap. So it's coming, some of the brick paper is coming around the front. When you've got brick paper, if you just cut it in straight lines, it looks kind of noticeable, and that works on certain bits of it. But if you're trying to put brick paper over the top of brick paper, sometimes it's good to actually cut around the bricks in sort of a random pattern, and then your eye won't actually pick it out when you're looking at it. It looks visually more convincing. Going back to my painting, you see I'm just literally putting some shadows on the side. And if you look back up at the girders as well, you can see where I've weathered them slightly with some grey and some brown. They look a bit more kind of three-dimensional. And when you've got like those little pillar things, it's quite handy. I don't know if you've seen it in me painting it, but just to put a little white highlight on one side, and it will just make it ping a little bit more. And it's quite a useful thing to do anyway, you know, because I have got a bit of a background in graphic design. I do paintings as well, so I have some sort of knowledge about how to make things look three-dimensional. So that's kind of it, pretty much finished, really. Yeah, there you go. That's the finished product. So reasonably happy with it. I could probably have done it a little bit better, but you know, it's something, and wanted something that looked quite good, but I wanted to make it fairly quickly. So yeah, there it is on my desk, and I've put one of the modules on top, so you can actually see what the kind of the plan is. Obviously, once I've built my third bridge, then I'll be moving on to the layout itself and starting to build up the scenery on that. So the next stage on the layout will be putting in some of the buildings and the platforms, and then we'll be doing the ballasting, because obviously the ballasting has to fit around those items. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. So there we have it. It's all finished. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.